When I moved into my first house, my friend Melinda gave me a jade plant. She told me to put it at the front door because it was a symbol of good luck. Well, we're visiting today with Steve Hawks, who is surrounded by that good luck because his gardening passion is jade plants. Hello, Steve. Thanks for letting us come to see you.
Hi, Tammy. Nice to have you here.
You've got quite a collection here.
Well, thank you.
How did you get started with and interested in jade plants?
Very much like you. I was given a jade plant many years ago and just started from that. They were easy to propagate, so I just came by accident with a leaf that fell off into the soil mixture, and the next thing, a few weeks later, it had a few leaves on it, so I planted it, and that's how it all started.
So from there, we've got a greenhouse full of jade plants.
Full of plants, yes.
Well, talk to me about this because it's such a common plant. Do most people carry it inside and leave it there, or do they do it inside and outside?
They are primarily house plants worldwide. Their origin is in South Africa, and so most people just use them as house plants. Although they can be put outside in the summertime, usually if temperatures go below 50 degrees, then you don't want them to be outside.
So these plants you've kept inside, and they're obviously very different levels of growth. So talk to me about what you expect from the jade plant. I mean, if you're given one like this, how long before it's something that's even bigger like these that are next to it?
Jade plants are a fairly slow-growing plant, and if they're inside, in house plants. But put outside, they will grow a little bit faster. Now, of course, we start here from a little bitty tiny guy. This was potted about 6 months ago, and then as time goes on, this little plant here is about 2 years old, 2 to 3. So you can see how much growth you get in that period of time. Then from that to this stage, this is about a 5 to 6 year old plant. And then,
wow.
Then to this stage here, we're looking at 8 to 10 years. Of course, they can be pruned to keep them at any stage that you want them to. They're used a good bit as beginner bonsai plants.
Right.
People will use them for that purpose. But keeping them trimmed and shaped the way that you like them to be is beneficial to the plant also. Trimming produces more growth at that point.
And it is considered a succulent, right?
Yes, it is.
So I'm assuming that the water retention is in these sweet little plump leaves rather than the trunk?
Yes.
Or is it both?
Both. But the reason that most people say that they don't have success with them is that they love them to death. They water them too much, and they are very susceptible to root rot if they're wet most of the time. I usually put these in clay pots. That way, if people are overwatering, the clay pots will evaporate the moisture a lot more often.
That makes perfect sense. So do these need any fertilizer at all, Steve, or are they pretty self-sufficient?
With the potting soil that most of the plants come in, there's not any nutrients in it. So adding a little bit of fertilizer, just a general purpose fertilizer. I used a little triple 10 or 20 with some granules when I water, and that helps speed their growth up quite a bit.
Okay, so Steve, what if I wanted to be a Steve Hawks and I wanted to propagate my jade plant? What would I do?
Well, you can either take cuttings or go from a leaf. Sometimes just by breaking a leaf off and then just letting it lay on top of the soil with the base of it covered up just a tiny bit, and then just keep that damp for a couple of weeks or so, and then it will begin to sprout and put new leaves on.
It's that easy.
It's that easy. That's why they're such a easy plant to work with, as long as you don't overwater them.
Does it have any disease problems that you need to be aware of?
The things that I have encountered, fortunately not too often, is mealybugs and a scale. That seems to be the only thing If I get a grasshopper in here, sometimes they'll chew on the leaves a little bit, but I try to keep those out. But those are the two things that I have encountered over the years.
So what light do they need?
They do like bright light, you know, close to a window, no direct sunlight through a window, because that will cause a sunburn on them or blister. But bright light, indirect, and if you have bright sunlight like I have in here, then along the edge of the leaf there will be a little red border, and
Right.
that's a good indication that they're getting plenty of bright light.
Okay, so Steve, I thought that all jade plants were solid green, but you've actually got one that's variegated.
It is it's called a tricolor. It has some variegation to it, but it is a beautiful plant to me. I like the variegations. And it is a little slower growing plant than what just the regular jade is.
But do you treat it the same?
Yes, treat it the same as the other.
And it likes the same light, water, everything.
Mm-hmm.
It's because I've noticed this one, it's got a little purple in it.
That's just due to the light that it has gotten on this other table here, as opposed to where this one has been sitting.
Actually kind of like the purple on it.
It does make a difference. That's the reason they call it a tricolor. You've got your green, you got your reddish or pink, and the white.
Beautiful. Okay, so Steve, tell me about the leaves on this plant and how do we take care of this?
Okay, the yellow on this plant, the yellow leaves, is not due to too much sunlight. This is due to it has wintered and it's beginning to grow, and it's going to shed, and it'll prune some of its own branches just to be sure that it has enough nourishment as it grows through the summertime. Now I'm going to shake this plant, and there'll be several leaves that'll fall off of it. So when people are concerned about leaves falling from their plant, is something wrong with it? No, it's really not. It's just kind of the normal process of how the plant will grow on its own.
Oh my.
And as you shake it, you know, something may fall off.
Yeah.
Just like this has. That's a perfect piece to start a new cutting.
Oh.
Just break that off, put that into the dirt, and you'll have a new plant.
Okay. All right. So now let's talk about other problems that we may have
All right.
with our home jade plant. And this little baby has got some issues. So talk to me about what we need to do when we start to see this withering problem here. What caused that?
This plant was sitting close to the greenhouse edge, or to the wall, and with the cold weather that we had this winter, the freeze and the ice and everything that we had, it was just too close to the edge for it to stay warm enough. So it has had some damage to it. So what we'll do with that is we'll just trim this damage away. Just take a sharp blade and we'll cut through that. And you want to cut down to where the plant is damaged. You'll want to cut down to where the plant is not damaged. As you can see, that's a damaged part there, and we're getting down into an area here now that is pretty much normal growth. And then the cut there, then that looks pretty good there all the way around. So we'll just leave that, and it'll scab over, and then it'll probably will put out maybe 2 or 3 little nodes there, and those will form branches and leaves.
So don't be afraid to cut on it.
No, you can cut on it.
And
so you want to get it back to the point to where it has good growth, or cut at a node. See, like where the branches come out,
right.
There's a node there. Then there would be a node here. So you cut, if this was damaged, then you'd cut in between that, and then this will scab off, and that's where your new branches would come from, would be from the node there. This one is frozen back here right to the node, so I'm going to cut this one just right outside that, and then hopefully we'll have some branches that'll come from that area there. If it does not, then I'll just cut it again back here.
Okay, perfect. Steve, thank you for this education on jade plants, and I've always heard jade by the door, pour no more.
For inspiring garden tours, growing tips, and garden projects, visit our website at volunteergardener.org or on YouTube at the Volunteer Gardener channel and like us on Facebook.